Wario is not Mario's cousin, and he sure ain't Waluigi's brother. With that out of the way, let me introduce you to our purple and yellow-clad big boy / powerhouse. The man without whom there would be no farts in Super Smash Bros. A garlic-loving, mean ol' son of a bitch, ya boy Wario. Before the sweet lord blessed us with the god that is Waluigi, Wario was all we had when we wanted to put a boot in the ass of that stupid goody-two-shoes Mario and his vertically superior brother. Wario is a deep guy. He's got layers, like a cake, or an onion for you occupiers of the swamp. Initially, he was simply created to be another bad guy for Mario to mix up what was already a stale formula in the early 90s. Bowser can't be the only guy with some piss in his veins in that there Mushroom Kingdom. Nay! So Wario was born as Mario's arch rival, the NSYNC to Mario's Backstreet Boys, the Biggie to his Tupac, the Bizarro Superman to his Superman. That's a pretty good one, actually. If you look at Wario, he simply is the Bizarro Mario. He's fatter, his mustache is stupider, his color scheme is wonky, and the M on his hat has been turned upside down. But we still love him, don't we? And there's a reason for that! But this ain't no 50 facts about Wario, and it sure isn't something you can get from a game manual. No, this is something more. So prepare yourself for the legend of a man who doesn't watch his red meat intake. For a limerick that doesn't actually rhyme, so it's not really a limerick, but it sounded clever when I wrote it. This is the story of a man that isn't afraid to wear yellow and purple to a place that doesn't appreciate the Lakers. I don't know, I don't do basketball. This is the story of Farty McFartface and his greedy, probably greasy hands forever reaching towards the maximization of profit. We're talking about Wario, the story you never knew. Unlike arguably the best character in all of Nintendo, well, actually video game history, Waluigi, Wario isn't despised by the company. To be fair, being created to be an actual villain in the series canon and not just a tennis partner for said villain leads more credence to one's existence. So, I get it. The reason I bring this up is that unlike Waluigi, I actually have a little bit to go off of with this doomed to die of heart failure bad boy. Because not only did Wario play the main villain in the 6 golden coins, but he proceeded to then hijack the entire Mario Land series and turned it into Wario Land. That's pretty badass. Wario has 3 main characteristics. He's mean, he's greedy, and he's gross. Not necessarily in that order. But why is he bad? Every villain has a motive, or at least some semblance of a motive. So Wario must have one too. And he does. And I will tell it to you after I end this run-on sentence. Wario thinks Mario is a douche. That's pretty much it. So he tries to be the opposite of Mario, which he does pretty well. He's also an ill-tempered, greedy man-baby by nature, which helps in said pursuit of not being like the douchey poopy Mario. He also totes wants Princess Peach to be his garlicky baby mama, which further fuels his disliking of Mario. Basically, if Mario has it, Wario wants it. If Mario doesn't have it, Wario wants it. Because Wario wants everything. Unfortunately, it looks like one thing Wario will never get is a decent jump. If you look here at his legs, he stands like he's been humped by Shaq all night. No surprise, he can't get much height out of those little underdeveloped protrusions. What he lacks in mad hops, however, he makes up for in brute strength. Wario's a buff boy, and he uses this to his full advantage. Honestly, if it came down to an old school college Chad fight, Wario would totally kick Mario's spaghetti-loving doughy ass. He's normally kinda gross and farty, like I imagine Oprah to be when she's home and off camera. But when it comes down to business, Wario is a mean, muscly, coin-hoarding machine. In fact, besides his very Nintendo look, Wario stands apart from every single other Mario character in the franchise. He's a bad guy, but only when it suits him. But in general, he's kind of off on his own in pursuit of his own earthly pleasures, which is mostly money. Wario loves the green stuff, and I'm not talking about that Snoop Diggity Dankalank. I'm talking about those cold, hard dollar bills. You see, Wario is a bit of an entrepreneur. When he's not trying to steal stuff from Mario, like his castle. Oh yeah, did I forget? Mario had a castle at one point. What actually happened to that thing? It's canon! Anyway, Wario is always off working to fill his own pockets with as much gold as he can gather. And he also hypnotizes the entire country of Mario Land. Yeah, I guess Mario had a country too? Mario comes back, kicks ass, and sends Wario packing. But instead of giving up, Wario decides to simply become a treasure hunter and fund his own castle by any means necessary. I.e., take things that don't belong to him, like, well, treasure.
That belongs in a museum! So do you!
But getting a castle isn't enough. You gotta keep that castle too. Do you know how much property tax is on that kind of real estate? And then you have to fill it with things and pay the bills. How are you going to pay the bills? Well, that's generally the purpose of his games, collecting money. Wario is a self-made man and also a bit of a morally ambiguous Indiana Jones. His escapades lead him from pirates to an enchanted music box to an ancient pyramid, all in an attempt to fulfill his goal of being rich AF and getting some dope steak. He eventually gets the castle of his dreams, the best sidekick known to man, and even dips his toes into the video game industry in his WarioWare series. The guy even travels interdimensionally to fight against Bomberman and also shows up in the Starfy series. He's been in all the Mario parties, all the sports and kart racers since his inception. You just can't get this guy down! In each of these games, he's always got a scheme to benefit his own goals. In Wario's Woods, he's hired an army to seize a forest for reasons? In Wario Land 3, his shit gets stolen by Captain Syrup, his other nemesis. So he goes on a beatdown, gets all his treasure back, and then steals her treasure on top of it. He's a full character of his own, with his own motivations, his own series, and has full acceptance from Nintendo and fans. But the most important question remains. What is his purpose? Mario is simple, but he still has a purpose. That is, to be a pawn of the royalty. Something bad happens, he fixes it. The only time he's ever done something for himself was in the face of Wario when his castle was stolen. He is chivalrous, dutiful, and just a symbol of the monarchy, really, and his brother is the same. Bowser is the opposite of Mario. He fights to rule everything for himself. He wants to be the sole ruler of the Mushroom Kingdom and will do pretty much anything and everything to get it. Even though that usually ends up with him planting about 8 bosses in a fire world, water world, desert world, forest world, you get the picture. Bowser is dictatorial and totalitarian. He wants things his way, and only his way. Waluigi, whom we covered recently, is a total anarchist. He doesn't give a shit about what happens as long as it ruins everyone's plans. He likes seeing people being miserable. He's selfish and full of self-pity and wants to bring everyone beneath him. Not so much rise to the top, but to be on top naturally because everyone has been brought so far down. But Wario doesn't want any of that. Instead, he simply wants everything. He's a stereotypical capitalist. The worst kind of capitalist. He doesn't want to rule everything as much as just have it. And the best way to do that is with those dollar bills. For those who don't know, a capitalist is someone who likes to turn dollar bills into more dollar bills. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. And certainly capitalism is the reason I'm able to make a living making videos I love instead of pumping out digital propaganda for the state until they tell me I can retire. However, such desires for profit can turn toxic when the shadow side of humanity gets involved. That's a poetic way of saying that greedy money grubbers suck! And Wario sucks! And is gross. Coincidence? No, actually, that's kind of the point. Wario likes 2 things. All the things, and winning. How do you win? Get all the things. Everything will follow after. He knows that if he becomes the richest, he'll have a bunch of dope stuff and no one will be able to mess with him. Obviously, this isn't what capitalism is about. It's really about free enterprise, being able to make your own money through your own hard work. However, things don't always work that way, because this is reality. Or in Wario's case, I don't know, not that? Anyway, capitalism leads to a lot of problems due to simple human flaws like greed, a core personality trait of Wario. Greed causes things like poor working conditions for employees because it's too expensive to put in fire escapes. Then there's companies using loopholes in employee numbers so they don't have to pay minimum wage increases, or other issues like applying a stranglehold on a market. Keeping it in video game terms, let's say a game is rare. If it's rare, its price will go up because of supply and demand. Now, here's some things you can do with that information. A. Buy that game at the rarity price from a vendor. B. Try to find that game for cheap from some sucker in the wild. C. Trade an equally rare game for that game. Or D. Buy up every single copy of that rare game, destroy all but 5 copies, and sell them for 100 times what they were worth when you bought them. See how something so simple can get nefarious real quick? Which one do you think Wario would do? He doesn't seem to be a frugal kind of guy. He has has expensive tastes, what with the castle and all. My guess would be D. He would buy all the copies, destroy all but a few, and sell whatever is left at a jacked up price. The consumer be damned! Perhaps that's why Wario is so beloved by American fans? Because he represents a villainy we can relate to, or even aspire to be. You see, there are certain things that are hard to get out of your head, especially when it comes to cultural norms and societal practices. Part of the social dogma in this country states that the more you have, the happier you'll be, despite all those hippy-dippy burnouts preaching about balance. Our entire way of life is built around that. Our entire economic system is built around that, and it's pretty unhealthy and can lead to a lot of issues when it comes down to personal perspective. It gets in the way of a person's ability to see the good things in life. How can you be happy without that 55-inch 4K HDR smart TV? I know, it's hard. Wario's grotesque, over-the-top trucker buff, super greedy, super gross aesthetic is unfortunately one we can relate to in the Western world. He's a satirical caricature of a wealthy Jersey dude. Seriously! Take off that yellow, give him some trainers, a little gold necklace, a tracksuit, surround him with girls that are way hotter than he'll ever be, and then call him Vinny! And it works! We understand the kind of villain he is because we deal with them every day. Not that Vinny is a villain. Don't tell Vinny. When you eat at McDonald's, there's some Scrooge McDuck guy diving into a pool of gold laughing about how he's poisoning you. When you shop at Walmart, the founder is jerking it with the fuzzy side of a $50,000 real fur coat, thinking about how the table you bought is gonna break in 6 months and you'll have to buy another one. But on the other side, we want to get the best deal too. We haggle at flea markets to screw the vendors. We coupon cheat to get the most store credit we can. It's a vicious cycle. But the belief in it is not universal. There are many cultures on this planet that believe in honest pay and fair deals, which also helps to build a substantial and healthy middle class, but we don't have to get into that in this episode. That being said, there will always be scammers and profit maximizers no matter the culture, but whether or not it's a cultural norm makes all the difference for society as a whole. The funniest thing about the whole satirical notion of Wario is that most of the time his schemes work out. He got his castle, he gets his treasure, and he even got his own series. Bowser doesn't have his own series. He does work hard too. Kicking ass and stealing treasure isn't for chumps, but the problem is Wario does it all for himself. He's not trying to save the people of the Enchanted Music Box in Wario Land 3, or actually help the princess in Wario Land 4. No, he doesn't care at all! It's what they can do for him that matters, and that's, well, making him more rich. And remember in the beginning when I was talking about Wario's woods? Well, why would an adventure capitalist send an army into a beautiful forest to take it over? Certainly not for hikes. Perhaps deforestation? Perhaps because lumber is one of the most lucrative enterprises in the world? Yes, just another scheme. Wario is a villain of the times. A villain who hits a little too close to home, but also is an anti-hero. Someone who represents violence and greed as well as the earthly desires of capitalist society. He's not evil. He's not psychotic. He's just a cold, calculating businessman who will stick a boot in your ass faster than you can say, "Stay till the end and smash that bell." That's the story of business taking a front seat to pleasure. The story of greed manifested in a portly, hideous man-child. The story of Wario. The story you never knew. And that's my take on Wario. Let me know down below what you thought. We always like tying video game characters into real life, and I'm curious if you found it insightful or try-hard soapboxy nonsense. Anywho, that's not all! Do you like being entertained? Do you like good conversation in video games?
Oh, there he is.
Go camping.
Let's go camping. I promise I won't molest you.
Then check out one of our latest Streamsicle videos right here. Yes, Streamsicle! Every weekday at 3 p.m. Pacific time, we stream at twitch.tv/Treesicle and then post the distilled, purest, most refined version of our streams to our second channel, Streamsicle. It's the place to be. That's all I got for today. I'm Grant, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!